Neck-throughs, guitars, they're like a guy that you won't have a beer with you.
I want to hear what's pushing the notes.
Freddie King and B.B. King, Albert King, and let's not forget Burger King.
I don't want to blow my knuckle out.
Stainless steel is the work of the devil.
These go to 11.
From the East Amplification Tone Labs in Baltimore, Maryland, it's the Amps and Axes Show. With your hosts, Jeff the Godfather of Low Wattage Amps Bober and Mick Marcelino.
Well, good day to you, Mr. Bober.
Good day to you, Mr. Marcelino.
It
Beautiful
is,
day out.
Yeah, well,
gorgeous.
I was telling you I needed to get some Advil.
Yes.
I humped 2,000 pounds of pellets ready for our winter into my garage, and my back is screaming.
Well, there you go.
And it has nothing to do with guitars or amps.
Unfortunately. Humped enough of gear this weekend for my back to be screaming
There
too.
you
But that's
go.
okay, you know.
So we got to thank the listeners.
Listeners, thank you.
The Tony MacAlpine Show. You guys are digging it.
Well, we dug it.
And we dug it.
We hope that you dig it too.
Yeah, man. And, what a story. Just, and a great guy, and just so glad that he's doing well and his wife's doing well.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
because that was that was some ugliness.
That's some scary stuff,
Yeah, man.
Scary
really
stuff.
crazy. And, we got our good buddy from up north.
Jason Seditas.
That's right, with the
Quick Lick.
And we got a new one.
And new one, and he's finally getting settled into his new place.
Yes.
I emailed back and forth with him today. And
Yeah, which we have to have him on soon.
Yeah.
Because he's got a new album.
He does.
And we're going to make sure we cover that one really good because he is part of the
family.
The family of Amps and Axes.
Big A, small a, big A family.
That's right.
That's right.
And speaking of that, we got a couple guys, but one of the guys is our new PR guy, Mike Davis. He's taking care of all of our social media, blowing it up like crazy.
There you go.
And you can find all that on the ampsandaxescast.com.
Right, all those little social media buttons.
Oh, yeah. Right underneath of that, to the left, you're going to see the old Amazon banner.
That's right.
If you click through that bad boy, Amazon pays us.
Buy yourself something. Treat yourself to something.
Yeah.
Just do it through the banner.
Christmas is right around the corner. Don't be late.
God, don't even think about that.
Yeah, man. Isn't that crazy?
Well,
it's like we just got school started. Now we got to think about Christmas.
We just played the 3 days of Labor Day weekend, and I couldn't believe it was already Labor Day. It's like it's the unofficial end of summer, but damn it, summer's not over yet.
Exactly.
So buy yourself. Go to the Amazon banner. Buy yourself a new swimsuit.
Why not?
Or flip flops, or hey, boots for the winter. Something.
Well,
new
if you
snow
buy
shovel.
if you buy the swimsuit, you're going to get it cheaper because it's at the end of the season.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Clarence.
Yeah, however it works.
That's right.
Hey, I wanted to tell you real quick. So, our good buddies up there in the Canada area.
Great White North.
Yeah. Out there, Graph Tech.
Graph Tech, yes, right.
Which, if you go back in our archives, you'll hear the show with Dave Dunwoody.
Mm-hmm.
They have these tuners. We talk about the tuners. They're called ratio tuners. And the way that it works is that, because of the string thickness, you can't, just doing like an 18-to-1 ratio or a 14-to-1 or 20-to-1, whatever it is, you have to tune each string. You have to treat each string differently, right? So your heavier strings, they move very rapidly at an 18-to-1 or a 14-to-1, whatever the standard that's out there, right? Mm-hmm. But your high E, you're cranking for days, right? So
right.
Their engineers over there, they realized that, let's make it like 39-to-1 for the low E and 12-to-1 for the high E. And when you go to tune your guitar, it's like one revolution of the key equals the same across the guitar.
The same degray of change.
Yes, for each string.
Right.
Yeah, and they change. If you look here, and I'm telling Jeff to look here because we got it on video, it's like 39-to-1, 24-to-1, 20-to-1.
There's two of them that are the same, surprisingly.
Yeah,
right?
35 to 1, then 20 to 1, then 12 to 1. And the reason is because of the G string, the G string nightmare that occurs. So you want to put a higher ratio because it's a heavier plain string or even a wound third. So it works off of the thickness of the string. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's these crazy numbers going across and not one even thing. Well, here's the thing. I saw it and I was like, yeah, that's cool. But it was limited. I like locking gears. They didn't have it locking. Well, now they have it locking. But they also went a step further. So not only do they have it locking, they also have it open back like an old Clouson.
Nice.
So they have the ratio for that. Mm-hmm. So if you have like an old Gibson or, you don't want to, you're not into locking gears, you can just
It looks period correct.
You just place it in. And
yet updated.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Right.
So it's a direct drop in. But if you look at that gear, there's no screw holes. There's no thing. There's nothing to, there's nothing to.
Is there no nut on the top or anything?
Oh, there's a nut.
Is
right?
there a nut? Okay.
But there's nothing on the back,
right.
And you kind of need that, right? Because it'll slip and slide, right?
Right. Even if you tighten the nut, it'll still slide.
So what they did is they made a plate for every configuration you can think of. And that plate,
a little adapter plate.
Yeah, you put the adapter plate over, the tuner goes to the adapter plate, and then you put the screw in the corresponding hole in your guitar. So if you have Clousons, you get the plate that is for the Clouson, and then
so it requires
you're good to go.
No extra hole drilling, is what you're
Nothing.
saying.
It's direct drop in.
It's a stock drop in.
Yep, and
cool.
if you look here, there's the plates I'm showing Jeff now. And there's a plate of there's 6 here for $5.95.
There's aluminum. There's gold.
Yep, you got the gold. And they match all the footprints of the popular tuners: Grover, Clouson, any of the shower stuff.
Yeah.
You name it, they've got it, and that works directly.
That's
in there.
pretty cool.
Pretty cool, huh?
That's pretty cool.
And the set is
your guitar remains completely stock. You can pull these off, put your old stock tuners back on, and it's like they never left.
And you don't have to take your guitar to the local guy to do this. They got a video out there. You can just, as you're changing your strings, you can change your tuners. And you can put these tuners on that give you this better tuning capability.
It's pretty cool.
And you could have them where they're locking. Like I love locking tuners because it's restring the guitar in seconds. Not you don't have to do any windings at all.
I really never quite understood the ultimate value of locking tuners until you break a string on a gig.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just you just pull it through.
Yeah.
You wind that little thing up. You don't have to cut the end off of the string if you didn't want to. Just wrap it around a little bit,
right.
To get it out of your way. And you just give it a couple cranks.
You're there.
Stretch it a little bit, couple more cranks. You're in. And you're playing again.
Yep.
Literally, your singer's like going, make sure you tip your bartender.
That's
tip
right.
your waitresses. Doing that standard talk.
You're tipping a lot, because they got to split the tips with the bar back.
Yeah, I love that, by the way.
What?
Every time I get... I don't want to go off on some tangent. Every time I go into a restaurant or every time I go into a bar, everybody goes, well, that's how they get paid. And I'm going, why doesn't I don't go to a car dealership and tip the guy after I've given him price. Why? Why is that? I don't do it when I buy my pants at the store.
Right.
Why do I have to do it when I purchase food at a restaurant? And then I'm doing all this, Matt. I know, but why?
It's just...
No, there's nothing else on the planet we do that with. I mean, people make commission. Yeah, that's whatever. That's on them. That's on the place.
That's true.
I'm not kicking extra money over to the guy like, hey, I bought this car for $25,000. Here's another $2,500 just for you.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Most of it is tax-free money.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, I'm sure the IRS just loves that.
Oh, yeah.
So you see this little letter we got here from this huge Paul Gilbert fan?
The one that the message is titled "The Amazing Paul Gilbert."
Yeah,
I see this.
I saw it. I was going to respond to what's his name, Jim. What is that, Jim?
Jim Branham.
Yeah, Jim Branham. I was going to respond, but I thought, you know what? We ought to read this on the air because this is a very nice letter. Written basically to Paul. And I thought, well, that's kind of nice, you know? And
I mean, he basically just says that he's, you know, Paul is always smiling, and not only is he an incredible rock player, but a great blues player too, and he just seems to be an incredibly happy person in doing what he does. And that's, I mean, I think that's kind of the way it came across in the interview.
absolutely.
You know?
And this guy is, he's not some 20-some-year-old that's into shredding like a madman.
No, 67?
Yeah. I'm a blues dog.
Uh-huh. Seen all the greats, including Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimi Hendrix.
Wow.
So, how about that?
Yeah.
So thank you, Jim. And
Yeah.
thank you, Paul.
And thank you, Paul. Yeah.
You know, because that was a fun interview. I mean, you know, we do these interviews when we Skype these guys. We don't see them because we want to keep the audio quality as high as we can.
Right.
You could hear
tie up
him
the bandwidth.
smiling while he was talking to us.
Absolutely.
You know, this is a
Absolutely.
guy that is very happy to get up in the morning, and his job is, well, he jams.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool.
You know, he plays to bring joy and
Yeah.
teaches, you know.
Teaches all the time.
Instructs people as to what he's doing. And,
Yeah.
You know, that's so cool.
I saw a video the other day about Steve Vai, and Steve Vai is very philosophical with his journey through life.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
And he was talking about, he said that, you know, your mood influences everything. He says it influences what you're working on and how you work on it.
Absolutely.
And he said, it's good to be dark, but it's also good to be happy. And he said, so, you know, when he works on pieces, if he's like in some kind of different mood than what he wants to convey through the song,
We'll stop working on it.
he does. He just says, I pull away because he goes, I don't want to. He goes, I want to write it this way, and I need to make sure that I do it this way, and that's why I
Got to be in the right head. You know? Yeah.
Isn't that wild? I was like,
I mean, it makes perfect sense to me.
it's just I never really thought about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, you know, it's
Those guys in Pantera must have been pissed.
You know, it makes sense once you're. I don't know if there's a better term than self-actualized or whatever, but you know, to know and to appreciate what you're feeling at any given time, and to know how you're feeling, and to know if that's going to work for you and what you're trying to do right now, and you know, and to have the luxury to back away from something.
Yeah.
That in itself is a luxury.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
it's like you have the freedom to go, no, I'm not doing this today because I'm not feeling it today.
Remember when we were
It's
interviewing?
kind of like the ultimate damn freedom.
Oh, yeah. Well, when we were interviewing Tony, he said in the interview, if you remember, he was like, you know, the problem was when you were in a studio, they're like looking at their watch.
Right.
And he goes, and I'm not feeling it, and I got to make it happen. And he goes, now it's like, well, I'll do it in 3 days, or I'll do it in 4 days when I'm feeling better, or when I know that it may come around at that point.
Right.
And
right.
and that's the thing about today. That would be definitely an upside with a lot of these portable type studios, or, you know, these smaller type studios, to where you have that luxury. It's not costing you an arm and a leg like back in the day.
Right. Right.
You know, when it was 2-inch tape and it was like God knows how much a foot. So now, now that they have a little bit more freedom, it's a good thing. Now, it can be your Achilles heel too, because you could be like, yeah, so it only took me 18 years to write this album.
Right. Still not perfect.
And I'm not feeling it
you know,
today, but I'll get around to it.
Exactly. I'm going to keep doing it until I make it perfect.
Exactly.
You know what? It's never going to come out. It's
No.
never going to come out.
Now, I remember Def Leppard. I think they took, it was at not High and Dry. High and Dry was one of the quick ones. I think it was like Pyromania. One of those, you know, when they got rid of Pete Willis, he was the rocking guitar player. They got Phil Collin, that guy that doesn't seem to have a shirt in his entire closet. I never understood that, right? But I was a big Def Leppard fan for High and Dry and On Through the Night. And Pete Willis was the lead guitarist in that band. It was a definite change of that band once he left.
Well, once he left, you know, they not only replaced him,
They
got Mutt
revamped.
Lang.
Yeah, and they revamped that band. I mean, it
Yeah.
was like it's night and day from those two albums. And
that's Mutt Lange, man. That's not the player. That's Mutt Lange.
Well, yeah,
Mutt
that's
had
true.
a vision for those guys and went, this is going to be huge.
Yeah, it seems like anything he touches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shania Twain included. And her assistant. Anyway, or what was that? Who was that? Her nanny? I forget.
Oh, man.
Just wrong in all facets. But you know, when they had Pete in the band, man, that was a raw, visceral rock and roll band. I mean, that thing, High and Dry, that album is just chock full of chops, man. I mean, it really is. When they went and did Pyromania, they said it took like 3.5 years or something to record that.
Wow.
But you listen to it, and that thing is like glass. It is like crazy polished. Now, it worked.
Polished is the best word for that album.
It worked for them. I don't know if it would work today.
It was different than anything else out there.
I think that's why it worked.
Yeah.
And it literally created a sound for them.
It set the mold. It really did.
Yeah,
For that type of music in that era.
I remember hearing it going, good luck reproducing this live with all those vocals. But, you know, through whatever technology they were using, they were able to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and they played in the round, and, you know, it was a whole thing. I just
3 years, huh?
Yeah, I was like, I would have probably, I don't know, I'd have probably jumped off a roof of something if I spent 3 years on literally, what was it, 11 songs?
Yeah.
Something like that, because they weren't extended then, you know, CDs weren't,
right.
you know, it was still albums, and, you know, you had to be limited to your space.
And like conversely, I was just speaking to someone the other day about like musically, like how prolific 1969 especially was, you know.
Sure.
In 69, Zeppelin put out 2 albums in 1 year.
Holy crap.
1969.
1 and 2?
I don't think it was 1 and 2. They started before 69, I think.
They did?
I remember. Wow, maybe you're right. It might have been 1 or 2. I do remember reading that they put out 2 albums in the year of 1969, and by today's standards, that's incredible.
That's insane.
Yeah. There was somebody who put out 3 albums in 1969. You know who this is?
Hendrix? No.
You probably won't get it.
Not Cream.
No.
I don't know. Who?
Creedence.
Really?
3 albums in 1969. They hit their peak like the lines almost went straight up and straight down, you know?
Well, no wonder they don't like each other.
3 albums in 1969.
Can you imagine?
No,
Holy
I can't.
Crap.
I can't. It's
But you know,
unfathomable nowadays.
the budgets and all back then were so different. These guys were literally going in and like in a week or 2 weeks, they were finished the album. I mean, Van Halen 1 was done in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It was 1 week of recording, 1 week of vocals, and then 1 week of mastering or something like that.
Producing, mastering, mixing,
Yeah. Mixing it up. But I mean, can you believe that? That's insane by today's standards.
Totally.
You know, now they work it. They just kill it. I mean, I listen to some of this stuff and I go, "What in the world?"
We have the technology to make it all perfect, so we must spend the time.
Well, that's
making
why
it all
you
perfect.
should. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
The auto-tune nightmare and everything else. Yeah, I was listening to Kool and the Gang the other day. Yeah, I do that.
That's okay. I
right?
do too.
So I was listening to it and I'm going, this was disco. This was some of the best musicians I've ever heard.
I just had the same conversation with somebody the other day. It's like, you know,
there's like 4 horn
everybody
players.
Disses that, but the musicianship for a lot of that stuff was stellar.
And you're not talking like a 4-piece band.
No,
this is like 12 guys, and I'm like listening to it, and I'm going, "Holy crap, man! This is unbelievable." I mean, it's really good. And you know, they were experimenting with some, you know, stupid sounds and, you know, claps and stuff like, I mean, you could hear it. It was like the very, very beginning stages of, you know, synthesized sounds that they were adding in, but it was not a dominant piece of the music.
Right.
You know, it was a guitar player, an amazing bass player. You had some horn guys, sounded like about 6 guys singing, you know, and you know, an amazing drummer. I mean, just really, really, and they had some keyboard players in there too. But I mean, I'm listening to it and I'm going, holy crap, man, who wrote this?
Yeah.
This is not chump music. This is, really thought out, really well rehearsed and well played music.
Absolutely.
And, it got dissed because it was so new, back in the day. But now when I listen to it and then I hear some of the stuff that they passed today, I'm going, no.
Go back to the old school.
Yeah. So we got a returning guest today. Oh, did you want to talk about that Gibson first?
Do. No, I'll save that for some other time. That's fine.
It's a Gibson.
It's a Gibson, right?
24 3/4, and there you go. Anyway,
and it was.
I kid.
Yes, we do have a recurring
guest.
Yeah,
we do.
Who has been out and doing something a bit different, right?
The polar opposite of what he's
just
done.
A little bit different.
Yeah.
So that's we'll see how eye-opening and awakening and enlightening and experiential that has been for him when we return in a few minutes with our guest of the week, our recurring guest, or returning guest, but guest of the week, Mr. Dave Nassie.
Hi, this is Tony MacAlpine, and I'm here with you, listening and enjoying with you at the same time, Amps and Axis. So let's have a good time. Rock and roll.
All right, and as promised, we are back, as we always fulfill our promises. And we are back with our guest of the week, once again, Mr. Dave Nassie. Dave, how are you?
I'm doing well, guys. I appreciate you having me on a second time. I've been lurking since the first one, and you guys are always up to some good stuff, and I'm following in a long line of amazing people, so I feel very honored. Thank you.
Well, very good. We're honored to have you back on, man.
That's so nice.
It is. And yeah.
Well, it's the least I could do. You got, hey, man, I got to say, the last time I was on was really a great experience, and I got a lot of positive feedback from it, man. People were hitting me up and saying that they heard the program and went on to listen to, future podcasts that you guys had done. I got a couple of students out of it, so I got to poison the mind of some folks.
Wow.
It was beneficial all the way around.
That is very cool.
Actually, well, if we can't help, minds being poisoned, what can we do? You know?
Well, anything worth doing is worth doing half-assed. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Oh, it's all good, man. It's all good. So you've been out doing some different stuff lately.
I have. I kind of switched. I switched teams a little bit. I think last time we were talking, I might have been doing a little bit more of the heavy metal stuff and working kind of in the harder realm of the music world. But
yes.
I've been taking a lot of lessons over the past couple years, man, and I'm still doing a lot of that style, of course, because it's just what I grew up on. But I've been playing a lot of old school country these days. A lot of like Danny Gatton style, Telly, and
really,
listening to Jimmy Bryant. I've spent all day today listening to all these guys that I can find on YouTube, of Speedy West and Jimmy Bryant, and learning all these licks from all these guys. So that's what I've been spending a lot of time doing as of late.
Wow!
Look at Dave.
Totally.
Look
man,
at you.
I mean, you say Danny, and my ears perk up, man.
Yeah.
Oh well, I got to be honest, man. I've been anything at this point for me is kind of like icing on the cake. So the bleeding through thing came to a screeching halt, and it was needed to happen. To be honest, there's a funny story there too. You guys can dig later, and I'll definitely say something that's controversial. But so that thing came to an end, and then, man, I walked into a music store one day, and picked up Telly, and started playing through a Twin for whatever. And growing up, man, I was not into Telecasters just at all. Didn't really dig them. It was almost, I think, maybe I was so anti, like on purpose or something. So I went in and I picked it up, and that bolt of energy that shoots through you when you're a kid just hit me all over again, man. And it was literally a religious experience, and it kind of freaked me out all of a sudden, because I was like, wow, wait a minute, now I have to pay attention to this, and I kind of have to do it right. I started out playing country music when I was younger with my grandfather, as I had mentioned in the previous one, but this was to try to do it for real and to do it the right way. And I chose to start over, basically, man. I kind of cut off all my ties with anybody that I was doing any touring with. Just stuck to doing lessons, and started hitting some guys up in Nashville and everybody's been extremely gracious to me out there. It's incredible, you know. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Robert's Western World and like some of the guys that have come out of there, right? Like Johnny Highland and you know, Brent Mason and all these guys. So, man, I got a big hair up my ass, and I'm like watching all these Robert Western World videos, and I'm like, I'm gonna find these guys. I'm gonna get a hold of them. So I took lessons with Guthrie Trapp for a while, and Guthrie showed me an incredible amount of stuff. And then I hit up JD Simo, and I took some lessons with JD for a while.
Wow.
Him and I just ended up basically talking, and he became like my therapist. I mean, I'll just be honest. That dude is a sweetheart of an individual.
We interviewed him too.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, did you really?
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
we did. Yeah,
that's cool, man. JD's such an amazing, as you know, then, man. He's such a genuine sweetheart.
I think we interviewed him before he cut his hair off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope we didn't make him cut his hair off. So, yeah.
And now he actually plays at a volume that everybody can hear.
Really?
Yeah, he's using
Why?
different amps. I saw him the other day. Interview with him the other day, and he was using not the 100-watt plexis.
Really?
Turned up to 10. He was using some other stuff, but it's still loud.
Okay, well, good.
Yeah. He's really funny, man. He taught me a lot in the sense of how to simplify your lifestyle and ultimately make your guitar more complicated. Really, you know, by stripping it down. And he had an amazingly gracious way of saying, and you know, in anybody in this position, it would be hard to say, but he just kind of said to me, he's like, "Hey, man, your heroes are my friends," you know, and they're people that I spend time with. And he was like, "You're just like the rest of us, man. We're all neurotic. We all think we suck. You know, we all are like, you know, everybody's in the same boat. He's also these people that you're chasing after." He's like, "Calm down, man. You're there. Just enjoy it." And that was kind of what I needed to hear at that point in my life. And then he could so eloquently just play and mimic the styles of so many amazing artists, as you know. I mean, like, I'm like, "Hey, man, can you play me Wait on Time?" You know, and he'll do the best Jimmy Vaughn impression you've ever heard in your life, and it's like dead on. And so it was nice to have that kind of input and feedback from somebody, and that's what I mean, how he became my therapist. I mean, it was like I had things going on in my life at that time, and I just unloaded on him, and he helped me work through them. It was really cool. And so from that, I went on to Johnny Highland, and him and I have been doing lessons forever now.
Really?
Wow.
Johnny and I have become like super close friends, and he's obviously, that guy's just ridiculous.
Oh,
so
for sure.
It's been a good couple of years.
Dave's like a born-again Christian.
And to be completely honest with you, I am as well. So it's been man, I'm telling you, all of these things have come around full circle. I think for me, I'll be straight, like, you know, the rock and roll lifestyle, I was really fortunate to lead it, and I did a really good job of it. Then the karma truck showed up at my house, you know, and just dumped all that on my lawn, and I had to deal with it. And I think by admitting I didn't know stuff, getting into just learning again, because you forget. Like, I played guitar 12 hours a day when I was younger, man, but I don't remember learning it. I don't. I think so. To go back and have some humility and be nervous to play, you know, to be sitting and playing with Johnny Highland and be scared shitless, just play this back for him, and having him go, "Man, why are you all nervous?" You know, and just be like, "Because it's you, you know? Because you're Johnny Highland and I'm playing for you, man." And going through that whole experience, and then to have it totally be desensitized, and now him and I can play together, and you know, he's brought me up to his, I would never say his level, but he's brought me up to at least the playing field, to where I can hang with those guys and have a voice. You know, you'll never be like a Johnny Highland, but it's been a really good experience for me, man. So really, that's all I've been doing. I've been teaching an incredible amount and doing clinics for Fender, a lot of product demos.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there you go.
Doing all the Seymour Duncan stuff, preaching the gospel of their pedals that they have out, because they've got a lot of incredible pedals. And I've actually got some of them here that I can make some noise with in a bit. But, you know, I've resorted to making my companies happy, man, and just teaching and learning. That's where I'm at right now. So that's what I've been occupying my time doing. I think as professionals, we got to realize we got to learn more all the time. That's awesome. Now, you said you're still teaching. Are you teaching country, or are you still teaching, you know, the heavier stuff that you were doing?
or both?
I teach in everything now. Going through, I teach. I definitely still teach heavy metal, and boy, I got to tell you, my students got scared because you start showing up with a Telecaster and Johnny Heavy Metal with his Dave Mustaine guitar is not stoked, and he's looking at me and he's like, I'm not going to have to start playing that, am I? No, dude, I can still teach you how to sweep pick. It's cool, I think so. There was a lot of that. So I got a Strat, basically, and I just started showing up because it's such a universal instrument.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Much less of a stigma attached to a Strat.
Well, I love playing all this stuff on it. I mean, once these kids get, especially through Skype, you're like playing with a really heavy sound and you're ripping through all like Metallica, and then you pan back and you're playing on your telly. They're like, "Whoa!" So I think there's a little bit of education involved with the Desert Island guitar of the Telecaster.
That's cool.
So, and I fell right along with it. I mean, I had to figure out how to play it myself, and now I've got this beautiful one that actually Dennis Galuska, one of the master builders at Fender, made me, and I was really to happen across one of these things is that is a religious experience, man. So I've just been playing it nonstop.
I'll have to show Jeff a picture of it because it's reliced out pretty heavy, isn't it?
It is. He did a heavy relic on it, and it's a '60s Tele Olympic white with the green pickguard. But the sweetest part is it's Jeff Beck's Esquire neck.
Oh, so, nice.
When I was dude, it was the craziest experience ever. To go to the factory and have them make you a guitar is pretty much like the most humbling experience you'll ever have in your life. Makes you want to practice and just shut up. So you go there, and it was surreal. At first it was, I didn't think they would let it happen because he was like, man, I would love to make you a guitar, and I just told him there's a better chance of a lot of other people getting one before me, and it wouldn't be necessary because I was happy playing the ones that I had. And he goes, no, man, I'd love to do it for you. You'd like to, you're a player, and I would love to make you something. So, man, it was so gracious he did, and I went down there, and you walk in, for anybody who's wondering or ever hoping, who's listening to this, to be able to do this, trust me, I'm the biggest schmuck on the planet. Anybody can pull this off. So all you got to do is just practice a lot and be really focused, and these things can happen to you. And what happens is you walk into Fender and you look at this wall, and it's all the body parts of all the legends: Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page, all these dudes, and you pick each piece up and you go through and you see which one you like. And ironically enough, me being the way that I am, nothing really felt too good. I'm like picking up Jimmy Page's neck. I'm all, no, man, I don't know. It's just, it's really kind of funny. You feel like of course anything would be fine, but you're there to make something for yourself. So I had my head down, and he slides me in Jeff Beck's replica Tele, and I picked it up, and I was like, oh, I gotta have this, man. And he goes, yeah, that figures. Because he's all, thanks, dude. There's no specs for that one, So,
oh my god!
But it's great. It's a 7 1/4 soft V neck, and he rounded the edges and all of this kind of stuff. So, at this point in time in my life, to be coming full circle, and you're taking lessons again, and people are being gracious, and now I've got these connections in Nashville, and I'm going to be moving out there actually in the next year.
Oh, great!
Yeah, I mean, not to necessarily try to get a gig, but just grow old in a place where people are better than I am. I think that's kind of it. I mean,
that place can be the most humbling place. Just walking down Broadway and just sticking your head in any bar or Greasy Spoon that there's live music going on.
Oh yeah,
and you go, oh my God, what are you doing playing here?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Absolutely, and that's necessary for a guy like me.
I think it's necessary for everybody to experience that. Quite frankly.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. This is a time now where guitar players there's no shortage of amazing young players now.
True.
I mean, in the heavy metal world, you've got Jason Richardson, of course, and you have Tosin Obasi.
Yeah.
And I can't even, think to name the guy in Black Dahlia Murder is amazing. All these guys are fantastic. Nick Johnston, if you guys have not interviewed that dude, he's got a solo record coming out, and he's a Schecter guitar player. Amazing player. And I think the level is so high now that artists are obviously doing more for their companies. You got more people being more of a mouthpiece to support the companies because it's kind of our responsibility these days to do so. And with that, I think you're generating so much more intensity that people have to study. People have to look for new things. And you have to be humbled and realize that it's not like it used to be where we can hang out maybe doing a first couple licks that we ripped off of a record and buy some mileage for about 5 or 6 years. It's not going to happen like that anymore.
I mean, there's so much 7, 8, 9, 10, 12-year-old talent on the internet now. You know, I keep seeing these videos, and it's like, how do you? Because
the information's there.
Exactly. It was never there before.
Yeah.
You know, and they're learning from stuff that's on the internet, and now they're better than
the guy who
10
played
times better than anybody I ever grew up with that I looked up to.
Yeah,
you know, it's like, but it's the same. You know, in the same breath, can you play with other people?
Yeah.
Well,
there's rubber meets the road thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like you know, you can do it really well on YouTube by yourself, but how's it doing with the other guys?
Well, you know, it's a quick fix generation, right? So
Yeah, sure.
The problem that I have with my students, quite frankly, is they'll play something one time and they think they have it. And they think they got it. And, you know, getting somebody to set goals, you know, I think that's really important when you're learning guitar. And for anybody that's out there wanting to push on in your practice or learn at any level, from just the guy that comes home and hangs out and wants to learn, you have to set goals. And if you sit down and you say, hey, this is what I'm going to work on for 10 minutes, you're going to get so much more out of that. But I'm fighting a lot of young kids these days that really feel like they have it pretty quick. There's a certain expectancy, entitlement, I think, that comes with the power of the information that's coming across. But like you said, and as it's been in the past, the people that will take it and digest it the right way, that will use it the right way, will forge a new path and everything and come up with some crazy stuff because it's more than there to grab onto. So I think that's really cool. And to me, what's important now is not necessarily trying to be successful on a stage myself, but I would love one of my students or somebody that I've worked with just to hit it home, man, and take it off into another place. I think to me that would be the coolest thing ever. So
that's probably got to be the ultimate, to have somebody that you taught or had a part in teaching eventually take it to a new and different place. You know, because that's when you know you were working with somebody whose mind was open, you know, thinking outside the box kind of thing, and you know you had a small influence in that in some way, shape, or form. And that's got to be like, you know, very rewarding for sure.
It would be, I think, you know, if you could have that kind of input or plant a seed with anybody at any kind of level, and to be honest, it doesn't have to be somebody like myself. What you guys do in putting it out there and sharing the information and showing people how cool it is to talk about it, how great it is to have this community where we're not sitting on our phones, we're sitting there talking about how great it is to love music and how cool it is to be into gear and to learn something, to learn an instrument and share it with other people and reflect that. I think if you can get people to do that tenfold, you know, Brian Baker, I got to say this. I don't know if you know, Brian Baker's in Bad Religion. He was in Minor Threat. He's a hilarious guy in the punk rock world and the most sarcastic individual ever. And he said to me one time, he goes, man, do you know that out of the 60 students you have, less than 5% of them are going to end up in a van with a trailer? And and I mean, I laughed my ass off when he told me that. And then I sat back and I'm like, damn, dude, he's right though. You know, and how am I going to fix that? How do I got to get, you know, so there's more to it. And I have one student recently who's, man, he pulled it off. The guy moved out here from the East Coast. He came out to LA. He hustled his butt off, and he's on tour with, like, opening for Trivium, I think, right now.
Wow.
And he, you know, he did it, and he took it that next level, because I shared that story with him, and I'm like, don't be that guy. You know, don't be one of my students, man, that's like in that percentage that doesn't do it. Find that extra bit that gets you out there. It's not playing anymore. What is it? What do you have to do? Do you have to go out and meet people? Do you have to find a way to converse with people, since you don't call anybody on the phone anymore, you damn generation? You know?
Right.
It's like, how do the people communicate? So it was cool. He pulled it off, and he made it work. So I think there's a lot of hope. You know, a lot of these kids wonder where the record industry is, and none of them bought records for the past 10 years, and they wonder why it's not there.
Right, and they feel they don't have to pay for any of it, and I'm hoping that isn't people that are actually in the industry feeling that they don't have to pay for it, but most of the people, it's like, oh no, it's just out there, so I'm supposed to be able to take it because it's out there. It's like, no, man, it costs money to put it out there, and people are trying to make a living putting it out there, and they're putting hard-earned money into getting the stuff that it takes to put it out there. Now, why the hell should you have it for free?
Hell, Dave had to start taking guitar lessons again.
Yeah, man, the world is a crazy place.
Yeah, help a brother out. You know what I mean?
Well, the reason why I started taking lessons again for real was I had to show myself that anything from this point on is icing on the cake, and I like not knowing. I just like not knowing. I like finding people that are better, and I want to encourage that in people more than anything else. There's enough people who have spent a lot of time trying to be the best, or what they think is the best, and I have very much like a sports mentality when it comes to music, where it's like, when you're playing it, you're supposed to think you are, but the moment you put it down, you realize you're not. And I think that's kind of been my mantra as of late, just to try to get people to enjoy learning it and to realize that there's a lot of other cool things they can do by affecting people in that kind of a way.
That's very cool, man.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's better. I mean, how do you guys feel now that you've done this podcast for a while? You guys have been talking to a lot of different dudes and all these different players. If you don't mind me asking you guys a question, what's the commonality between a lot of these older guys that are still pushing on? Are they having to do like band-to-go things to keep their career going? Or are they resorting to, like myself, teaching? Or what are you finding people are doing?
Man,
it's creative.
It's all over the board. And the one thing I wanted to say before I lose it, you mentioned that, a student of yours moved out to the left coast and just, said that that's what he was going to do and worked hard at it. We've had quite a few guests on that. That's what they decided to do. Once they decided that this is what they wanted, they went, that's the place you got to go to do it.
Yeah.
And, put everything in the shoebox and went, and because they were, I guess, well known enough that we got to interview them, which means they actually made it to some degree.
Sure.
And it was because of determination and perseverance.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to go do it. You just got to put your mind to it and go do it if that's what you really want.
I think the other thing is what we really see, and it's funny because the story changes a little bit, but the actual action just continues. These guys never look up. I mean, they just go, and it shows because they're still doing these gigs and stuff. I mean, we've talked to a couple of guys. Well, who was I'm trying to think. Martin Barr.
That's exactly who came to mind when he asked me what are they doing, because Martin and this was almost on parallel with the conversation that you and I had off air about Pantera and Damage Plan.
Yeah,
it's very similar to that. Martin's out touring now. Martin Barr, the guitar player from Jethro Tull, who I thought was one of the best players of that era. I felt so fortunate that we were able to get him on and to interview him because I really, really loved his style and his tone and everything else in Tull.
Mm-hmm.
And he's out there touring solo now, and pretty much in his own words, it's starting over.
Yeah,
it's starting over because everybody knows Tull.
Mm-hmm.
But Martin Barr, like, what's a Martin Barr? And he's starting over, and it's the same thing. The same conversation we had with Pantera when they shut down Pantera and went to do Damage Plan. It's like
they had to start all over.
They had to start all over.
Yeah,
but they're still doing it because it's what they do.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing for me, I'll be honest, man, that really. That sealed it in for me was I was working with Tim Lambesis when he got busted. And Tim I don't know, just to recall a little bit, as they lay dying, he hired an undercover cop to try to murder his ex-wife. And
that'll put a wrinkle in the day.
Yeah, killed another band.
Now, those guys, see, this was an incredibly awkward situation for me, and obviously for a lot of reasons, and there's certain parts of it that are just, won't be necessarily good for the cast. But the point of bringing it up was that band, suddenly everything was over for them. All those guys in As They Lay Dying, Nick and Phil, those are amazing individuals. And now they have that great band Woven War, and they went on and they made another band. And those guys had to start over, and they were at the height of everything that they did. And to their credit, man, they did exactly what you said. They put their head down, and they're just getting ready to release their second effort, and it's awesome. And to see that with somebody that I became friends with over the process of, you know, this whole mess is very commendable, because, you know, when you have put everything into it for years and years and years, and then it's done. Theirs was done in a 24-hour period of time. Their life changed instantly.
Wow.
And they had to literally, you know, they came home from, I think they were in like Thailand playing in front of 30,000 people. And then they came home, and then he did that stuff like the next day, and their life was over, you know, in that instance. So I think, you know, not only do you have to put your head down and push forward, you have to realize we're all doing the same thing. It's like going back to what JD told me, nobody's above it. Nobody's above it. And I think that has to give you a sense of peace when you're pushing towards your dream. Nobody's above it. Like at a beginning level, or at you know, if somebody like myself has been doing it for 20 years, you know, if I started over intentionally, but if I go join a band, I mean, I play in a band around town and we do good, and we play whatever. We played last weekend we played to a big old crowd, but does that really matter anymore? Like, how am I as a person? How am I as a player? That's what the end result has to be. And I think you get a better sense of who you are, and you find yourself playing with better people if you maybe try to take that approach to everything. You know, so it's a long way to get there. But I agree with what you said, and with what that guy's doing. You put your head down, and there's some humility to it, and you enjoy the fact that you can still play.
That is so cool.
I mean, that's the bottom line. Enjoy the fact that you can still play, you know.
And don't hire undercover cops.
Well, yeah,
man. I got to tell you, that was like, it was the worst. So, and I don't care telling this story, and this will actually make, some people will really dig this part of the podcast. So I'm like working with, he had this thing called Austrian Death Machine. And it was this like really cool project where they took Schwarzenegger quotes, and then they had this guy that spoke like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then wrote all the shredders and heavy metal wrote these crazy tunes, and then like Arnold Schwarzenegger spoke over the song, and Tim sang it, and the records were hugely successful and extremely funny. I did the last one I was on, but it happened, all that stuff happened, so when it got like tossed out, it just was like, it became a reed blowing in the wind. But so I go down there to do this song with him, and he goes, "So man, Brandon and your other," and I don't mind saying this either because this is all good. He goes, "Brandon, your other band, man, he's got a gym. Does he ever take steroids? Take steroids?" I'm like, dude, no, we're like getting burritos, I'm like, no, dude, no, I don't know if he does steroids. Don't, just come on, And long story pointless, that's what he was on when he flipped out and made his really horrible decision.
Wow.
So, yeah, man. And then it was just such a horrible thing for me. Like, the heavy metal community in Orange County just got gross to me, Bleeding Through that situation, love those guys, but they didn't want to play anymore. So, what are you going to do there? They don't want to play anymore. So that
you can
ended.
show up to an empty room.
That doesn't make for a good band.
Like, we didn't want to play anymore. And then there was some other stuff going on, and, everybody airs their laundry towards the end, and that just gets awesome. I mean, the best part about being in a band is, and I swear this is, to lighten it up a little bit, you spend your whole life learning how to play this damn thing, and you're like, you think you're worth anything. And then you go, and then you have to deal with 4 other idiots, and then it just diminishes your whole life's work at that point, because you're like with a guy that won't leave his bunk unless he has Pop-Tarts, and then you have a guy that can't, he gets so drunk he pisses himself when he's in a bunk and he can't make sound check. I mean, these are the
you look in the mirror and go, what did I do to myself?
Yeah,
right.
But my favorite thing about being in Bleeding Through was that I was the only guy that was not straight edge, and I would rage, because that's how you get stuff. You party with the other bands. I got to say, you have to have a little bit of, you got to do your work. But we were on tour with Machine Head, and we're in Europe, and Machine Head does really well in Europe, and we were playing nice-sized places and kind of like arenas or whatever. And so there's rules typically to catering if people don't really know when you're on tour. It's like, if you're on a big tour, sometimes they'll let you have breakfast, or, they'll let you have lunch or whatever, but it's a big crew, and you kind of discuss it ahead of time, what fits best for your band and all this kind of stuff. So everybody's happy and that kind of thing. So we're hanging out, and we weren't getting anything. We were getting, like, shoved in the closet, and because we didn't know anybody. And we were just kind of, now, I mean, Marta from the band is married to the guitar player from, Machine Head, so we got to know people. Nice. But long story pointless, you go party with them, and then all of a sudden you get stuff.
It's true.
You go have a drink with the sound guy, and the next day you're eating breakfast, and then maybe you're eating lunch, and you get the internet code, you get all those kinds of things. So I think,
it's all about the passwords, man. It's all about the passwords.
It's all about the password and not downloading all the stuff to suck up the internet.
Right, right.
All the guys are like, getting horny over seeing mannequins in store windows because they've been on tour for like 6 or 7 months. Get a Wi-Fi password in their life. Nobody's watching anything back there. I think so. You gotta learn to get along with your bandmates. I think that's most of my lessons nowadays. I'll do full on hour-long counseling sessions with guys that just want to like kill their drummers.
Wow,
dude, I can't. They're like, I can't take it, man. Like, I can't take it. And you're like, bro, he hits things. What do you want?
Yeah.
Like, he makes money at it. Like, you got to deal with it. So, you have to learn how to counsel people and have a little bit of respect for the other person, because you pick on people, and you're in a band, that one thing that drives them nuts, you push on it constantly.
See, I think Dave just opened up a whole new possibility
there
here.
You go.
For the ORC,
yes, the
on-road counselor.
There you go.
Oh man, we used to do some good stuff. There's some, I do have some good stories I could kind of tell. Like, I remember back in the day, what did we do for fun? One time we were in Australia. And Psycho Myco, Mike Muir, Suicidal Tendencies, he had a side project called Psycho Myco. It's a cool record. Steve Jones played guitar on it and stuff. And Infectious Grooves was the Psycho Myco band. So we kind of like opened for ourselves.
Okay.
And then we came back around to Australia, and Psycho Myco opened for Anthrax.
Wow.
Right? And Mike Clark from Suicidal, the guitar player, played bass. So it's Mike Clark on bass, me, because Robert had just joined Ozzy, so Robert couldn't play. So It's Mike Clark on bass, I'm playing guitar, and Dean Pleasance, who's in Suicidal, he's on guitar. And Clark and I, it was like back in the day of the handheld tape recorders where you could slow them down and speed them up.
Sure.
Like a little VSO spinner on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so and you could never do this now, obviously. This is way before 9/11, but we called in a bomb threat to Anthrax as we were drunk one night and told them we were going to blow them up when they were playing Antisocial. And we used to do all these crazy. Yeah, it was like, and we slowed they were like in Sydney Harbor cruising around on their boat, and me and Clark are drunk in a hotel room going, when you play Antisocial, you will be blown to bits, like doing this whole thing. Scott Ian gets in the car, he's like, dude, we got bomb threats. And we're sitting there laughing our asses off.
Oh, my God.
Thinking, I saw him not too long ago, and I brought that. I'm like, did you remember that? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that stuff's obviously, not so funny now. But
not funny, Dave.
The things that you could get away with back then,
Oh, that is too funny,
wow.
A little bit different. That was when, touring was, you're a little bit more naughty, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't remember.
We interviewed.
Now everybody's hooked on ibuprofen now.
Yeah, exactly. We interviewed Rocky George from Fishbone.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Who was one of the original guitar players in Suicidal.
Yeah, Rocky, amazing, man. He was really one of the first guys that played like that fast, right, over that style of music.
Sure, yeah.
And really kind of had that shredding kind of style. The story of how he lost his finger is amazing. I don't know if you know that, but he's like got a nub on one of his fingers because Trujillo slammed it in a door in a hotel room.
We did not know this.
Oh my God!
Yeah, like they were running around in a hotel room, and God, the way Robert tells the story is so good. And I don't mean to make it sound like I talk to Trujillo all the time. I haven't talked to him actually in a long time, but when I was playing with him, he was saying they were running around a hotel room playing hockey, I think, in the hall or something. And then he runs into the hotel. And Rocky into the hotel room, Rocky sticks his hand in the door jamb, and Robert said he'll never forget it. Like, he shuts the door, and then all he sees is at the level of, like, the sign behind the door where they tell you how to fire escape and all that, he just sees Rocky's finger go, boop, and just fall to the ground.
God.
And he just starts screaming, and Rocky's on the other side of the door screaming. And, yeah, that's how Rocky George lost.
No,
enough
it's
finger.
obviously-
Might have got sewn on. I don't know, but I know that at one point he did lose his finger.
It's obviously on his right hand. It has
Would
to
have
be.
to be.
Oh yeah, not on his left.
Oh my.
Well, I don't know. Not necessarily. I mean, Django did it.
Yeah.
No, have him on again and corroborate my story and find out I'm full of crap.
Wow.
That makes my head hurt, man. Oh God.
Wow. That's horrible to think. That is just oogie to think about,
Oh
man.
my
Wow.
Lord. Yeah.
Well, at least they didn't stop playing,
No.
At least they didn't stop playing.
No, that definitely.
Probably played that night.
Yeah. Well, when I tried out for Infectious, I remember the first time, like, I had gotten a call. Robert called me and he was like, "Hey, man, we need you to try out tomorrow morning." I think he called me at like 10 at night or something. And I had to try to do my best to learn as many songs as I could that evening and then go down the next day. And I'll never forget it. Mike Muir was not feeling well, and Rocky George lost his keys. So it was like we spent 2 hours looking for Rocky's keys, trying to find his car keys before. And I was like nervous just trying to audition, man.
Wow.
Yeah,
And it was like, and then they were on his mic stand. I think it was just, and then I had one of the worst auditions of my life. Totally blew it. Like, didn't even, because they wanted me to learn a lot of tunes, and I just didn't do it. There was no way I could. So they went on tour with Metallica for like 7 months, and they were nice enough to say, "Hey, we didn't really give you a fair shot, so you can come back."
Oh, wow.
And by that time, I had learned the whole set, and then just walked in and played it. So I had a grace period. So that was good.
That is just crazy.
Yeah, good old rock stories, man. I'm telling you, the place we used to rehearse at was a fun place out in L.A. You'd see Slash sitting on the wall every day. You'd pull up to practice, and Slash would be sitting on a wall, old school style Slash, like a bottle of JD, smoking cigarettes. And,
Totally.
You would see, man, in one room you'd have Mr. Big. You would have Snake Pit. It was before Guns N' Roses first fell apart, so Snake Pit would be like warming up in a room. You'd have Rob Halford in another room.
Wow.
Def Leppard in another room. The Knack was still playing.
Nice.
The
And
Knack.
they would
Wow.
be playing in a room. The dudes that did the Friends soundtrack would be playing in it. I mean, it was like just hilarious stuff. And every day, Slash would cruise into the rehearsal and be like, "Hey guys, I'm Slash," and like reintroduce himself, every single day.
Well, you got to make sure he remembered who he was.
It was, but you know what, man? One of the coolest things I can ever say that I've ever been lucky enough to do in my life is I would let everybody would bail. I would always act like I left, and I would park down the street, and I would come back, and I would crouch near the dumpster, and I would sit there, and Slash would practice after everybody left. So he would sit and wail through Marshall stacks for like 2 hours, from like midnight to like 2 in the morning.
Wow.
And I would sit out there and stay late all by myself and listen to him practice. And it was life-changing because some of those things that he played, he used on riffs for Velvet Revolver and stuff like that, like all the way back then. So
Wow.
it was cool. Yeah, that was a treasure, to be able to be in that position and just recognize, hey, this is not something normally somebody would get to do, and just to listen to him sit and wail. And didn't matter if he'd been drinking all day, man. The guy was on point all the time. It's great.
Wow.
It's so neat talking to Dave.
Well, when I mean, if you drink every day, you get used to playing
Drunk.
with liquor in you every day, and that's just how you do
Play.
it. That's
Well,
how you play.
in the words of if you're going to play drunk, you got to practice drunk. if you're going to be any good at it,
It just makes perfect sense.
you can't throw that at yourself and then expect a miracle.
Yeah, you can't practice straight and then get drunk and try to play a gig.
Yeah,
It just
exactly.
doesn't work.
So a couple things.
Okay.
A little bit different. You got married, right?
Actually, I'm engaged.
Engaged. Sorry.
I haven't embarked on that path yet. But thanks, man.
We follow your fiance.
She's lucky enough to be able to tolerate me, so that's good. Shanna's been wonderful, man. She's put me pretty straight and narrow, man. She puts up with it. I'll swear. I've been practicing so much, and she'll sit here and doesn't mind. So you got to stick with that one.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
We follow her on Instagram, so we like everything. And
You follow her? What are you, some kind of stalker?
Well, no, we take care of everybody.
You can lurk away, man. She doesn't post anything, sketchy. Unfortunately.
No. It's usually what Dave's posted, so it's always
There you go.
it's always the
repost?
opposite.
Oh.
Yeah,
She's
it's
a good girl. She's a nurse. She's a good girl.
Oh, nice.
And that's great.
Nice.
Like I said, I must have come full circle. You got to understand. When I first met her, she was like, I'll never forget it. She's like, I don't know who you are, and I don't even care, and I hate your band.
Tell me how you really feel.
Because she dated football players. Like, this is the great story, and I got to tell you this. My chick got arrested for beating the crap out of a football player that was 6'5".
Oh, my God.
Well, there you go.
So I'm not ever screwing with her.
No.
It's like I'm on good behavior, man, all the time.
You mean the girl that I see in these posts that...
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, exactly. You'll have to post a picture of her.
I'm going to have to...
Wow.
I'm going to have to pull this up for Jeff. Hold on here. You keep going.
I'll add a little bit of story to it. She scaled the bar, like climbed over she got kicked out of the bar, went home, changed her clothes, came back, climbed over the roof of the bar, and jumped him as she came through the kitchen.
Oh, my God.
That's a lot of hate.
Yeah, man, I back it, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There was good reason, I'm sure.
Nice. I love it. We get punctuated statements now. This is awesome.
Okay,
musically punctuated.
So here's the photo of Dave's fiance.
Yeah,
scaling a wall to go beat the crap.
I can show you
out of
pictures of her like roping cattle and Brandon, and she's no joke.
Holy hell!
And we love your dog.
A Montana girl. You know what I mean?
Keep a
guy from California pretty straight.
There you go.
Yeah. What's your dog's name?
Finley.
Finley. That's funny.
Eating a shoe.
I like him.
Got a shoe in his mouth there, right there.
I like him.
You guys are on it, yeah.
So
this is what I'm telling you. You see, kids, look what you have to look forward to. Like back in the day, it's strippers that take care of you. Start off. I mean, this is very well documented in rock and roll, right? When you get started, you need hot chicks because that's why you learn how to play guitar, and then you need hot chicks to make money. Those are strippers.
Yeah,
so you hang out with strippers, and then you play in this club scene. You learn from all your mistakes. You marry a nurse. You get a dog like him.
There you go.
It's kind of perfect.
This can be you.
It's kind of perfect.
Yeah,
it's totally perfect.
Oh my gosh!
See, she can beat him up and then fix him.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. She's gonna love this part of it. I can't wait.
This is great.
My favorite part.
So you've picked up an instrument of some sort. Is that the
yes? This is the Galuskatelli. Actually, you know what, man? I gotta say, you guys gotta hear this, and everybody out here. I'm gonna go talk about these pedals for a second. That's cool. Just because I got my board
exactly where I was going with it. You picked up a guitar, so now we got to talk gear.
Yeah. So, basically, I'm playing through a deluxe reverb, and I've got it on 2, and I'm in the lower vintage setting, and I have some reverb. But what I wanted to show you was that Seymour Duncan has this pedal called the Killing Floor, and before I get all about this pedal, you got to understand one thing, because people always, as I've been out talking about these pedals, and obviously Seymour Duncan being so associated with pickups, it's a hard transition sometimes for people to digest that they have something that's unique. And pedals these days are like going to an ice cream shop. Everybody's got a pedal. But there is definitely a uniqueness to all of these. And first off, the guy that did Pro Tools 8, 9, and 10, Avid, all of these programs designs these pedals. So they're voiced for guitar in a way that is really, really unique. And this Killing Floor, you can hear it right away. It has up to 34 dB boost, but listen to what I'm starting with. It's one button, one knob, okay? And I've got the knob at 12 o'clock, and I'm going to click it now. That difference is crazy, because here, that's what it is without it. So I'll play with it for a minute.
Wow.
It has so much spank to it, and if I keep going up, my neighbors are going to love this part. Sorry, he's sleeping next to me on the couch. This is where you're going to... And again, I might peak some of your levels because it's just so much louder, man. That's what I'm starting with. Mm-hmm. This thing is truly a player's pedal. It turns your amp into like a twin instantly, and you get all of these crazy tones. You can cut your highs on it, and it's one button, one knob, and you can huck it like 50 yards, and it's still going to work. It's It makes it sound like you have heavier gauge strings. You know?
It sounds very transparent, too.
Yes.
Extremely transparent. You're right. It's extremely transparent. And it complements well with some of these other in the line. I mean, you can hear I've got a little bit of that vapor trail, which I think it has, for the price, one of the better slap delays that you can have on it, because even Guthrie Trap was, when he played it, you can control it so easily just by these rate and depth knobs. But everything just shines like a bell, you know, with these pedals. They're really, really remarkable. And they're all unique, complement each other, you know, nicely. So I've been happy having them on my board just playing through clean tone amps these days, because with the versatility of even that Palladium pedal, which I don't have it here, but I've done videos online of that thing. That thing's like an amp in front of your rig.
Huh. Yeah, I've seen it. I haven't heard. I don't think I've heard
really
it yet, but I've seen it.
I think anybody out there that might be curious about some of the Seymour Duncan line, they are unique and they are different than what you think, and they go well with all their pickups. You know.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I would hope so. Yeah, but and it's so when you. I guess you probably do a lot of fly dates and probably nothing more than a guitar and a pedal board and the clean amp that's usually provided in backline.
Yeah, I've been doing that. And then, of course, I've still got my EVH stuff, so I'll bring one of those little lunchbox guys, too. You know, that EVH lunchbox amp is amazing for having a heavier setting if you need it. So it depends a lot. I'll split my rig if I need to. I'll kind of do a twin on one side or a deluxe on one side and then have an EVH. If it's a big enough venue for me to do that, and my tech is in a good mood, and then if it's a lot of stuff to deal with, and then if not, I'll just roll just a straight, 112 amp. I've been using a Morgan, and that is my amp of choice lately. Joe is a dear friend of mine, and I've been using one of his amps for a long time. And if you're familiar at all with those are just absolute game changers straight out of the gate. So. Have you messed with one of those amps?
Have not.
Morgan amplifiers. Literally everybody in the country world's using them. But basically, what Joe did is he took an old Dumble and an old Vox AC. I want to say like an old AC10 or an AC20, and he cloned it and then tweaked it. Mm-hmm. And so you've got an amp. It's a boutique style amp, so you do have a boutique style price, I got to say, but it's absolutely worth the money because it will. I mean, I have a 35 watt amp that you could use in a stadium. The clarity behind him is insane. The parts that he's using and the components, he doesn't cut any corners. The transformers are amazingly expensive, and they're Mercury transformers, and you've got a 75 watt creamback speaker and. You start blasting this killing floor through it, and it's, man, for somebody like me, it's just my neighbors hate me. My neighbors truly hate me, and it's fantastic. So
That's awesome.
It's funny. Getting older is not so bad. I got to say, if you keep playing guitar, it's not so bad. Your styles might change. You might have mandatory Metallica when you're like 15, and then all of a sudden you get older, and it's like mandatory Merle Travis or something. But
it's good to expand your horizons.
Dude, I'm gonna pound a sixer and play Cannonball Rag. I think that's the way.
I love it.
It's such a depart.
It's punk rock Merle Travis. If it's possible, I'll see it.
It's such a departure from what you were doing, and
don't worry. I swear I can still do it. It's okay.
And the crazy part is that you've got this now 7.25-inch radius,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, like that is like a baseball bat.
It really is. It's gigantor, and I gotta say though, being a soft V effect to it, it really, and then the edges being rounded.
Yeah, it's got to help.
You don't feel it as much as you would think.
Yeah.
And when you're voicing, the like if I'm on the cover of Guitar Magazine, and these big wild chords that make me look fancy. It's pretty easy. Pretty easy to do.
Nice.
Standing up and sitting, things are a little bit different. I play with my action a lot higher these days than I used to as well. And a clean tone, so you can't mess up.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of it. I think
telling.
Man, that's the best thing you could ever do for yourself as a guitar player. Turn off some reverb, play through a clean tone, see what you got then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'll tell how good you are real quick.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah, that'll put you in a place or two. Might make you cry.
Yeah.
Made me cry. I still, man, I'm telling you, I'm the hardest on myself forever. I've been. This is how OCD I am, though. I log my hours because I try to keep track of everything.
Oh, wow.
So I've got all these students. I practiced over 2,000 hours last year.
Holy crap!
Wow.
Oh my God.
So it's possible, man. I say that only because everybody goes, man, I'll never forget it. When you get your license, dude, you're going to get a chick, and you're going to learn how to play your guitar. You're not going to play your guitar anymore. You know?
You just lost $2,000.
You know, then it's like, well, dude, somebody told me, remember back in the day, it's like, man, you play this for 10,000 hours, you're going to learn how to do something. Dude, I will eat 10,000 hours for breakfast. Also, that is no problem, you know. Shannon has pictures of me slumped over on the couch asleep with this damn guitar because I will play it until I fall asleep. I told Dennis when he made it for me, I'm like, dude, it's crazy to have that thing. And so I promise I will make sure and you know, always play it. I played it for 3 days straight when I got it. I slept for 4 hours out of 3 days.
Holy crap!
Now
you're worse than a guy with a video game.
Totally.
Dude, I'm telling you, my house is like coke addict clean. I don't even touch the stuff. I don't know.
When you're sitting around playing on the couch and falling asleep with it, are you playing it acoustically or plugged in?
Plugged in.
Plugged in?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because well, see, this is the sweetest thing ever. I guess Fogerty has this component put in his guitar, and Fender had it made for him, and Dennis threw it in here. So when I cut my volume, I don't lose any tone. The volume goes down. Mm-hmm. So I'll roll it down. Still the same tone. All the way down.
Wow.
So you don't lose any tone when you cut your volume. And they had him wound up for Fogerty, so he threw him in my guitar, which is obviously a crazy thing.
Wow,
so,
cool.
That helps at night when you're playing. I swear, Shannon hears the craziest stuff, and she doesn't appreciate it at all. So if you want to leave her a message and tell her that she doesn't even appreciate my guitar playing, that would be good, too. Because she'll sit, I'll play something, babe, did you see that? Look. And then I'll show her like a Danny Gatton video that I got it from, and she saw, yeah.
What does she listen to?
Shannon, actually, she listens to a lot of, if she hears something one time, man, she remembers the words. So she listens to, she's kind of a freak that way, 90s country.
Oh, wow.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
well,
90s country, Vince Gill.
You're in the ballpark, at least. Now.
Yeah, oh, dude, yeah. Well, I think everybody around here is like, you're just doing that to keep your chick. You know? and this is the thing, too. I got to say this for everybody who's listening out there, because I'm going to love to see that comment that goes, you know, I'm trying to be like Steven Tyler or something, you know, like join the country bandwagon. Mm-hmm. The country that I play is not popular.
Yeah, you're playing the old school stuff, right?
Yeah, the old school stuff for sure. I mean, if you're sitting here going, I'm sorry, that's not going to be Jason Aldean, you know?
No.
It's not going to work that way. So I've been...
Little Travis picking.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know? So for me, that's way more fun. And a buddy of mine, a gentleman by the name of Devin Malone, he plays with Hunter Hayes and does some session stuff out in Nashville, a lot of stuff. He was super funny to me. He's like, man, you got to move here. He's like, you're like one of like 6 people that play like that.
You know what? Nowadays, I believe it.
He's like, it'd be great, man. He's like, you'll get a gig down here. He's like, there's just not a lot of people down here that play like that anymore.
Nowadays, I believe that because you know anything that's country now, you know, it's the bro country stuff, and that's nothing more than what we used to call Southern rock.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and it's 3 guitars, you know, at least
compressed to no end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just AC/DC licks and power chords.
Right,
you know?
right.
Yeah.
And which is totally fantastic. And you know, they've adopted a lot of the glam show. Mm-hmm. You know, with the explosions and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And God, if you go to one of those damn concerts and you're a male, it's the place you want to be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've seen Zach Brown.
My gosh, I've never you know. And I'm sorry, Shannon, because I know you're going to hear this, but when you go to one of those concerts, it's like it's women everywhere.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
And they all dress like the heavy metal.
Mm-hmm.
They just have cowboy boots on now.
Yeah.
So,
right.
you know, you can see why people love it. And I think you know, for me personally, I think it would be cool if there was a pop country chart established, because then people would have a place to go.
Sure.
You know, like if you could divide it down the middle somehow and say, hey, look, you know, there's this part of country that's, you know, not like Chris Stapleton And, Chris Stapleton is a real deal. Sturgill Simpson's the real deal.
Yeah.
But you want to give those people a place to go. And then you would even probably find that a lot more of those people would pop back over, because somebody even like Miranda Lambert can sing a song and make it sound old school, and you might get more of that if that's what happens, because Lord knows the people in town can play it. So
right.
Dividing it would be kind of cool, But for me, moving to Nashville is genuinely about being closer to people like Johnny and being around my friends and that kind of thing. And to take lessons with Johnny Hyland, I mean, the guy's like, dude, come out here and jam with me. I mean, you don't say no to that.
No, hell no.
No.
You don't say no to that. And, to talk about that for a minute, and I got to say, anybody out there, if, Guthrie teaches, you can get a hold of him. JD, write him on his Facebook. The dude will write you back. If he has time to give you a lesson, he'll give you a lesson. He gave me a lesson the day he played the Ryman.
Oh, nice.
He was like, it was like 3 p.m, and he's giving me a guitar lesson. I'm like, what do you got going on later, dude? He's like, I'm playing the Ryman. I'm like, what the hell are you doing giving me a lesson?
Right.
He's all, dude, I got time. I'm all, my brain would not be able to do that. I'd be freaking out. So that was the lesson that day.
Wow.
Like how to handle that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But Johnny is totally approachable, and he's, he has all his content online, and these are iconic people, but it's a different time, and you can reach out to them. They're very gracious, and they'll show you stuff. And man, I'll say this, and to give a little bit maybe of a lesson tidbit even on here, I'll just show you why it's changed my life so much, different from what was before, and it'll even transfer over the podcast. In the country world, everything turns to chords, right? So many people spend their whole life playing scales and doing all this, lead work that's centered around muscle memory. Well, in the country world, when they can break everything down to chords, Johnny not only said, hey, know all your caged chords. So like right now, if you were picturing a guitar, all I'm doing is playing all my versions of like an E chord, right? Just stuff that people are really, really familiar with. Mm-hmm. Well, Johnny had the funniest thing. He said to me, he's all, dude, I can't see for nothing. And I wanted to be able to check out chicks. So I came up with a way to go from one end to the other and always be right. That was literally what he said to me. He's also, I play low to high or high low, thinking of octaves. So he'll take a chord and he'll go from one E to another E, all within that chord. Then he'll go to the next chord. And now he's in another shape. And he does that all the way up. So he's covered the whole guitar, and all he's done in his head is go from one E to the next, and the whole time you're playing the same thing over and over again. Then he goes back and does it with double stops. And there's a million ways that you can do that. And so he simplifies the guitar and then completely blows it up. I mean, that's the only way I could really say it. He would call me and go, dude, I've been thinking of how to explain this to you. You're a rock player. We need to change the way you think as a rock player. Rock players are very linear. Mm-hmm. You're thinking of diatonic scales and power chords. We got to get you out of that. I've been thinking about it. You don't even have to pay me. Just get online. I got to show you this. Holy crap.
Wow.
That's crazy. That's crazy, and that means a lot. That's
that's eye opening. That's enlightening. It really is.
Humbling. Humbling is the only word I can think of.
Wow.
Because here's a guy that can play 33 instruments.
Wow, really?
He plays. That's a lot of things people don't know too. He plays 33 instruments. He's been famous since he was 5 years old. And he's played with all these people. And he's calling me, going, "Dude, I've been trying to think of how I can explain this to you." So when you have people like that are still out there in the world, as a guitar player, you can never pigeonhole yourself to think that you've learned enough.
Wow.
It's just not. And he takes lessons too. That's the thing. And when Johnny Hyland's taking lessons and he's telling you, man, I take lessons from this guy out here that, apparently there's a guy out in Nashville, and it's not Jack Pearson, who everybody, of course, Jack Pearson is just, the Yoda of guitar. But you have, and if you don't know who Jack Pearson is, just type it up. He looks like Droopy, but like Droopy, just if Droopy destroyed the guitar. And I've never met Jack Pearson, so I guess, I'm sorry, Jack, I'll say that, and then if I meet you, you can smack me. But Jack Pearson is incredible. Everybody always says how amazing he is, And there's another gentleman, though, and I don't know his name, and Johnny says there's a picture of him in his house teaching Brent Mason, Chet Atkins, himself, and like Vince Gill all at the same time.
Whoa.
Yeah, the guy's like, and I want to say there's one other dude there, but it's all like the biggest of the big.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he's just, I don't know if he's done recordings or not, but Johnny just says he cruises by your house. He'll show up every once in a while with like a big old bag of coffee, and you just drink coffee and you learn. You know?
He looks like Droopy.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Just think of that statement. You know, I mean, so it's funny because Johnny said to me, "I'm all, well, what's it like taking lessons with him?" He goes, "Well, I'll play for him," and then he looks at me and goes, "Yeah, you can do that."
No.
You know, and I go, "Wow, man, I feel so much better because I'm petrified when I play for Johnny, man. And it doesn't like, I mean, I could play for him all day long, but it takes a while to break that down because even if you play it perfect, you're still playing for, in my opinion, one of the greatest guitar players of all time. You know, so it's kind of sketchy. But again, so much humility, normal person.
Yeah,
that's the way it should be. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he is a scary individual. I mean, I've seen I have his album, I think his first solo album that he did, and he was doing like metal licks. So like he just
Johnny?
Yeah, it wasn't just like a country album. It was all over the map.
He can play all of it. He can definitely shred. He can do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And
he doesn't sweep pick too much though, because he always laughs at me. He's all, "Man, I can't get my fingers to do that." but he can. You know, he definitely can. He definitely can. He's the best thing about Johnny was, you know, I'm sitting there doing a lesson with him, and he goes, "Okay, so check this out, man." He's all, "Here's the chords to a song." He picks a song, he plays the chords, then he plays the melody, then he plays the melody and the chords, then he's all, "And here's the bass, the melody, and the chords, and then now I'm going to solo," and then he does it all at the same time. I mean, it's just crazy. You know?
Wow.
And so that's what him and I have been working on is just really, you know, he's shown me everything that he can, like just about everything from a chicken picking perspective. You know, it's actually everything that he's shown me is really small in the grand scheme of things of what he can do. But he's shown me everything, and I'll play it, and it is not sound like him at all. You know, and he'll go, "Man, what's going on with your right hand?" You know, and I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "You got to get nails." So now I'm going to the nail shop and having these little ladies putting nails on my fingers. You know,
yeah, he gets acrylics put on.
Yeah, totally, because everything's got to match. You know, when you're going through, you want it all to be the same.
Yeah,
you know?
it can't be pick and flesh. You know? Yeah.
It's great stuff, man. It's great. And everybody had something different, right? Because now that I've had lessons from 3 out of the guys from Robert's Western World down there, they're asking me really amazing questions like, "Hey, what's in common between all of us? We don't talk." You know?
Wow.
And I'm like, "Wait, what?" You know, we're friends. We're all friends with each other, but, you know, we're all working.
Yeah.
So, you know, like Johnny's friends with JD and JD's friends with Guthrie. I mean, they're all friends, of course, but they don't talk to each other. They're all doing their own thing. So they're like, "Man, what's Johnny like when he teaches?" You know, or "What's Guthrie like when he teaches?" And I'm like this kid in California sitting on his couch, you know, getting asked this question. So, you know, going back to it, tenacity, right? Like, I had to break into Nashville. I live in California.
Yeah.
How can I do it? Well, I'm going to humble myself and say I don't know anything. And I'm going to hit up the best people I could possibly find. And thank goodness from a metal background, I really believe if you play metal, you can play anything. You know, because to sit and play all those things forever and all that muscle memory and to sit and, you know, do all the stupid picking exercises until your mom wants to punch you in the face. You know, all those things. I mean, dude, you know, I was the guy sitting behind my mom. 1 VCR in the house. Just watching Days of Our Lives, you know. "Mom, you done? Mom, you done? Mom, you done?"
"Mom, I got to put in the tape and watch somebody do this faster."
Hours, yeah.
Right.
"Fingers, shut up. Go play a song." I think it was pretty much what she'd say. You know, and then I'd go like this. "Okay, cool, Mom."
It was only part of a song. Can you play the whole thing? I'm still watching TV
that's
here.
That's the first riff. "Yeah, Mom, that's all I know is the beginning of everything." You know, because that's what it is when you're younger. You learn like the first riff to all your songs.
Yeah.
Now I got it. No, you don't.
Yeah. That's it. Hey, I'll say that. Like, if you're out there, learn the whole song.
Learn the whole song. That's right.
Whole song, solo too. You gotta learn. And if you don't know the solo, then just say you're the rhythm guy.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
And just learn it, but know it. Be like, "But there's a dude in the band who plays rhythm." Yep, you're that guy. That's okay. That's okay. That guy still gets chicks.
You know, what happens if he can't make it to the gig someday and you got to play the rhythm part?
You put him in a box, man. That's what you do, and you save money. You sample him.
There you
You
go.
sample him. I'll never forget going on, like, seeing The Offspring when they finally got rid of the dude, the hype guy. And I'm, hey, where's the hype dude? They're all, we put him in a box.
That's hilarious.
It's great.
Oh, man. Well,
but all of it is meant to be inspiring, right? All the fun stories and all the things we can talk about. I love coming on your show, man. It's really a great time for me. So hopefully I said something that was worth a damn.
Oh no, it's awesome, and you're right. It is inspiring because
absolutely,
if our listeners, especially the younger ones, ever want to be able to have and to tell these kind of stories, well, you got to get good and you got to get out there first.
Yeah, and I mean, Dave, it's amazing. I mean, we've only been doing this show now for over 2 years.
Yeah,
about 2.5 years.
Coming up on 3 soon.
It's coming up on 3. We interviewed you early on, and here we are, just this short period of time. Really, it's not been very long.
A couple of years later.
Yeah, and you're a different player. I mean,
yes.
You literally reinvented yourself.
Yeah,
and that is just amazing.
Yeah,
man, I appreciate. Dude, I appreciate that a lot because I've been working real hard at it. So, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Well, that's the inspiration that
absolutely.
I'm sure our listeners are going to take because, dude, we were blown away by your work ethic back when we first interviewed you.
Mm-hmm.
And now, you just taking yourself and
to already be established in that genre.
Yeah.
And then just pull yourself out of it and go, yeah, I'm going over here now. And I'm going to get good enough to be over there.
With all the practice, there's been a couple people in my life that were really helpful. Joe Morgan was really helpful because he knows everybody. And another friend of mine who works for Golden Voice, her name's Jessica. She was with Seymour Duncan for a long time. And a friend of mine over at Seymour Duncan named Craig. I mean, there's been a few people that have seen me put this effort in and say, okay, well, if you're going to put this much effort in, then we'll do our best to try to get you going. And I've had some opportunities come my way, but I don't live there, And I think it means a lot because I think if maybe that's what we could kind of say for people right out of this cast is that you can totally start over. You can totally reinvent yourself at any age. I'm 42 years old.
Well, there you go.
When I was 40, I made the decision to say I want to start over. I want to not have any of the same connections. And I want to see if I can pull it off. And I had to apply the same things that I did when I was younger. I think the tenacity that you have when you're 18 to go out there and throw caution to the wind and not be afraid of what you sound like if it sounds bad. I got in a cover band around town so I could play bad in front of people a lot.
Wow.
And not give a shit because they're so drunk, pardon my language, they don't care. So, that was huge, to play with a drummer that knows one drum beat and no drum fills, and I can hide in that band for 6 months and just play horribly for a long time.
Wow.
And then when it was good, I left. And when I figured it out, I left. And then I went on to another situation that was better. And those guys were better. And when I was done with that, I left. So I've always been playing live the whole time. And I've been bumming people out around town, absolutely. And have people been coming up to me going, oh, dude, you're the guy that, joins a band and then, learns it, figures it out, and then bails. Yeah, I am. Totally. Because I'm not going to stay in California, and I'm not playing in a cover band. Are you still in a cover band? Are you having fun? Merry Christmas. I'm not so that's the thing. If you're, whatever your goals are, don't disrespect people. Be very honest. Join every situation I'm a part of. Hey guys, my time is limited. I'm here to learn how to do it. Figure it out. When I get a foothold, I am going to bail. Okay.
Wow.
What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
absolutely not.
You're always putting your best face forward. You're never being dishonest. You're always trying to go out there, and you can start over. And I think a lot of people didn't believe I would do it, and I had a lot of friends telling me that I wasn't going to pull it off. And as you can tell by me, that's the best thing you can ever tell me.
That's uber motivation right there.
You're not going to do that? Okay, cool, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, you've done it.
Totally.
You're doing it. And, man, good on you, brother.
Well, thanks, man. Maybe next time we talk, I'll be playing Western Swing. I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows?
Well, you know what? When that
That's
summer,
not so much of a departure. So maybe I'll just abandon it altogether, and I'll just I'll be playing a bass or something. I don't know.
well, when that summer NAMM comes up, because that is more in our wheelhouse, we'll be there probably, and be able to
if you're
do this
there
in front of you.
Oh man,
there you go.
Will, Summer NAMM, I will definitely be. I'll be out there, and even if you guys happen to make it out here for Winter NAMM or anything like that, just stay in contact. I always lurk you guys. You guys are fantastic, and you guys do so much wonderful stuff for the guitar community by making people feel comfortable and getting them in a situation where they can talk honestly about why we love doing this stuff. And I think you guys have way more influence than you realize. So keep doing it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. That's a bit humbling, but thank you very much, man. I really do appreciate that. We appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
So cool, man. Well,
to all your listeners out there, thanks for tolerating me for another episode. I will say this: I've actually, I'm going to be working on some stuff with Fender coming up, and there is a possibility that I may be doing a podcast myself for Fender. But what I'll be doing is not something like this. It'll be in a different capacity. Sure. So maybe if that happens, or if something comes along that line, we can find a way to cross-promote each other or something.
Absolutely, man.
For sure. We
Anytime.
love that. Very
cool.
good.
Well, you guys are the best, man. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. Thanks for taking the time. And, I know it was a little hectic to get on with us because traffic is what traffic is. But we really do appreciate you being, you having the perseverance to not say, screw it, I'm too beat from driving in traffic for 3 hours.
Like I said, the only problem for me was that I was going to, like I said, I didn't want to disappoint you guys. I love doing this stuff. So that was the only reason why I was worried about it. But never a problem.
All good, man. Yeah. Really appreciate it. Have a great rest of the evening. And, carry on with that wonderful thing you do.
Thanks, buddy. I'll talk to you guys soon.
See ya. And there you have the recurring story.
What an amazing thing, man.
Yeah, it's like I'm done with this. I'm gonna go do this.
How about that?
Yeah,
David.
That's really cool.
That was I've corresponded with Dave. Outside. Of the show every now and then, send him a message or on, Facebook or whatever, because I really dig just how the guy, when he goes at something, he's like an animal, I mean, he really goes at it. And this is proof.
Just seems really determined, like focused and determined.
Yeah. Like when he's on that, it's like a laser beam, and this is a great example. I mean, this is a metal dude, man. I mean, he just literally really crossed a giant line, and
he jumped the damn Grand Canyon.
Well, you think about it, gobs of gain, every low action, and just blazing to no end, which he can still do. I mean, you heard that. To spanking clean on a 7.25 inch radius, and it's like. Most metal guys would curl up in a little fetal position and just cry for days and say, forget it, I can't do it.
Yeah, or at least attempt it and go, no,
not me.
I've played the other way so long I can't do this.
Yeah, like it's impregnated into their brain or something, like it's etched.
Right.
And he literally has just turned the table.
Yeah.
How about that?
Wow.
That is just
it's a hell of an accomplishment, man.
That is crazy. I'm still kind of like, that is so wild, man.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
And he, I really, appreciate that he still had the perseverance and determination to go, guys, to not go, guys, I'm just too beat, man. It's been a brutal day. But no, he was like, can you give me another half an hour? I'll be there. Yeah, absolutely.
That's an awesome guy.
Yeah, totally. So thank you, Dave.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Much appreciated.
So until next time, my friend.
Right, because we'll have another person on.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, it won't be Dave, but
I'm Mick Marcelino.
And I'm Jeff Bober.
And we're always saying
onward.
Be sure and follow the show on Twitter @AmpsandAxes. Also, make sure you like the show on Facebook. For news, comments, and everything else, visit the webpage ampsandaxescast.com. Thanks for listening.